Okay. Hello, I thought it'd be a bit easier if I were to explain going through it as I explained, so here I am. Um, so for expressions, at least when I'm doing it, I'm not a professional or anything, I just thought I could help. Um, for me, it really does focus more on the eyes, the mouth, and the eyebrows. Those are like the three main features to me that I focus on when doing it. And also the head tilt, which, like, I have two different examples here, which I thought would be very good examples of the difference between expressions and how changing the size of the pupils, changing the mouth, and everything could really emphasize a certain expression for you. So I'm actually going to switch to this pen here. And I'm on black. Okay. So for the first one, it's a pretty happy expression. Oops. And I would probably show this by also keeping this like this. Oh no, it's looking towards the side. And still keeping in mind that this isn't a person, you know, like I don't have to keep the round shape, or I guess this isn't an emoji, or I don't have to keep the round shape. I don't have to follow exactly as it shows me, which might be the issue that you're having. I'm not entirely sure, but I thought it would definitely help if I showed you how I went by it for a cat. So I still keep in mind that the muzzle is here. And like, you don't have to follow it exactly. I would like to think of it more as a guideline, especially for cat wise, because obviously it isn't a cat and it might be a bit harder to try and copy it exactly if a cat wouldn't necessarily do that. So keep the muzzle. Okay, this is all going to hell. But we would keep the same elements, like how you notice the teeth. Well, it would be on this side because this is how it normally goes. The teeth, keep it like that. And see, I essentially got down the sense of the expression. Keeping in mind the muzzle, like, see how it went flat here, but the muzzle's here, so I would put this up towards, that way it looks like it's rounding out over the muzzle, even if I don't put the emphasis on it. And then the difference would be between this one is the pupils for sure, the eyebrows, the mouth obviously, and the size of the eyes is also a little bit different here, as you can tell, but that doesn't make that big of a difference as, say, compared to this one, where instead of half open towards the upside, it's half open towards the downside, and it's more suggestive than the happy expression is, since it uses eyelids also to help emphasize the expression it's giving off. I don't know what that giggle was. So and like, another thing is how I did the sketch initially, because I already did the sketch before I started recording. This one, it's happy, so it's looking up, it's not holding its head down, it's kind of more exaggerated in a happier sense, because like, you wouldn't have a happy, I mean, I guess you technically could, don't listen to me, you technically could have a more happy expression. Like, we could do the same exact expression down here, but like more tilted down. It's a bit more awkward, and it doesn't work nearly as well as it would if it was looking up, like it was like the cat is laughing at a joke or something. as opposed to here, which very rough admittedly, doesn't look nearly as natural, if that makes sense. To be fair, the eye is like wholly off. Let me fix that. See, the nose is pointed down, so I don't really have to do that whole thing because the nose isn't up here, it's down here. But with that in mind, it isn't nearly as good as the other one. But it isn't impossible either for it to be done because you could manipulate the body. Like, this one's a more relaxed position for sure. This one could be a bit more like, oh, he, I'm hiding something type of thing, like shy or blushing because they were flattered. See, it changes. So the body can also influence it. Okay, well, 1 second. How do I pause this? Hello? Yeah? Yeah, it was in the bag. Okay. Bye. Well, I didn't know how to pause that, so you had to sit there with this. Anyway, this is so scuffed. Anyway, the body can also affect the expression depending on what expression you're making. Obviously, you wanted more dramatic expressions, so we're gonna go with this one, which is a bit more dramatic, and maybe a couple others to sort of get the vibe for it. So this one, it's a bit more horrified. Like, that's what I would put the name to the expression. Like, clearly something has happened. It's very dramatic. I draw my eyes a bit more cartoonish, so this isn't that abnormal for me. But if you were to do something more realistic, I guess I could give a shot at it. So it would probably look something more like this, as the pupil is a bit more and you would probably widen the eyes a bit more too, because this would probably be more of a normal eye with the pupil shape being like that. So I'd probably I guess something like this. Obviously probably a little bit more natural, more closed. And there's a difference there, you can see. By showing more of the eye, more of the pupil, it's more shocked. You can add wrinkles and stuff to show that they're really horrified and traumatized by what's going on here, even if it does not seem that way entirely. So we're just gonna leave that there for now. My program would work. Okay, I thought I had the eraser, so I'll get rid of this real quick. Okay, back to the kitty that's horrified. So I have their head angled a bit more downward than this one because the expression, like I said, is a bit more horrified. They aren't happy, they aren't looking up, they're taken aback more than anything. So I'm probably going to, I adjust to that knowledge. And this one turned out to be a little dot rather than a line. And there, and like in cartoonish stuff like this, there is definitely cartoonish anime-ish stuff like this, there is definitely more leniency than when it comes to realistic things, because you can put lines in the eyes to emphasize something, even if you have a colored pupil or not. Like, you know, you can do that. That's another thing that you can also do. And instead of making it really tiny pinpricks, another thing that emphasizes it is if it always looks like this, if it always had a black pupil, you can change it up to give a shock to the viewer and really emphasize how horrified this this character is. Look at the difference. And then I'll put the nose here. Well, we can also with expressions. Well, first let me make the, and when eyebrows also go like this, they get a little bit more nuanced. There can be something here, more things that can emphasize the expression are just little nuances in the, I don't know if I'm using the word right, nuances in the in the facial expression. So like there's this, you can create like a little shadow here that really emphasizes that they're like, oh my god, what's going on. Their expression is obviously not happy. You can fix the mouth later, it doesn't matter. When it comes to the fur, I take a lot of inspiration from Studio Ghibli, and not as much as I wish I did, but enough that I would fluff it up a bit, because obviously they're distressed while still trying to keep it the same character, but obviously. And then like cats also have this very unique, I wouldn't say unique, but this feature that lets you emphasize the expression all the more using their mobile ears, using their tail, using their fur. There's so much that you can do with a cat. I like to put hair on the cat, but you don't have to really emphasize that something has gone awry for them. I'm just gonna flatten it out, I don't care. And I'll try to copy the expressions here as exactly shown, that way it's a little less. And then like I said, the lines here really emphasize it. Some shadow in here. This, we can make the, and you can move the eyebrows. Like the eyebrows don't have to be in that exact position that you see it there or whatever. You can make it tighter or looser. So if you wanted them to be really upset, you can put it like this, and it cuts into the eye, it overlaps, making it a lot more dramatic than if it were like right here, right? But on the other hand, you could tilt it a different way, like tilt it like this, so now they're angry and upset. Or tilt it this way and they're just really devastated rather than angry. So for a horrified expression, definitely you could see the confusion. That's how I get that it's a horrified expression, I should explain, is that this one is a bit higher than this one. There's a bit of confusion in this expression. There's a bit of, I do not understand what's happening, but I am deeply affected by it in this expression. And that's why the eyebrows are so close together like that. And they're put in a way that it's like, what's happening, what's going on. And then there you go, there's the difference. This one's obviously better because I'm a bit more familiar with this than drawing happy characters, but whatever. But with cats also, you can really emphasize the expression with everything around them, not just the expression. And I love drawing cats for that reason. I love drawing animals for that reason, because they each have their warning tells, their warning signs, the growls that say, hey, don't come close, along with body posture to go along with that. So, you could have a fluffed up tail that emphasizes this all the more. And And I think all of those really play a part in the expression and how well it works to emphasize it and make different emotions come through that you want to come through. But like I said, it is definitely more of a guideline, at least for me. You can notice how unnatural the mouth looks. At least for me, it doesn't look very natural because that wasn't the, style I was really going for. So let me fix it. I like to kind of, without emphasizing the muzzle entirely, some people do. I like to give a nod to the muzzle that it is definitely there with, emphasizing this. But let me get rid of that. Maybe I should move it entirely. Maybe make it a bit bigger. Because, I don't always get it off the bat. That is one thing about expressions, is that I will constantly adjust and readjust and readjust. Okay. That would probably be something a bit better for me compared to the other one. See, it looks a little stretched out, looks a little more unnatural. But if I were doing the same expression, I would do this. If I wasn't, I would probably leave the mouth closed, or maybe make it a bit more like this and add that. Maybe I can add it to both sides, but I wouldn't want to. I like to pretend that the muzzle is there and it doesn't look like that when you do it. But I think I prefer it the other way, so I think that really brings it out. And I do a lot of different expressions all the time. These are, like I said, I think you could really use these. They're very fun. They show you what you need to. It shows you the basics and you can just run home with it. You can add the little details. You can add the dark shadow in here that emphasizes that, oh my god, the things are crowding. You can add the ears. You can add the fluffed up fur. But this shows you what you want it to be. This gives you the pointed down eyebrows. This gives you the narrowed eyes. This gives you the scrunched up face and the oh, and it shows you the dark spots too, I guess. I didn't really notice that. The blush. I can show you some other, this isn't it. This is also some other thing, like a mist that I'm doing. Some transitions, so like you can see the shock in here, the tears starting to well up, how the pupils get blown up with tears and everything when they hug. We can go up to this one, how he went from a little bit like I don't care to very much uncomfortable in this scene. Very more uncomfortable than anything else. Like originally I had it look a bit more annoyed than uncomfortable, which wasn't something I wanted for the character. And this is also another good one. Here he's asking a question. He looks unsure of himself, and I don't need the sweat drops to really prove that. He's looking down. His body language is a bit kind of closed off. His ears are back. In the next scene, he comes up here. He kind of turns away, ups his shoulder. It's like putting his guard up a little bit, but eventually lets it down as he explains himself and looks very vulnerable. His eyes are big. His eyebrows aren't close to the eyes. He isn't angry. He isn't anxious. He isn't very anything. He's very open in this one. as he asks the question. He's a lot more open, even though his ears are still back, showing that there is more uncomfortability here than there would have been had he been completely open. Like, he's not happy being this vulnerable, but he wants to know the answer to the question more than he cares about his comfort at the moment. You have this expression where he's very much confused, and I like to play with the pupils when I do that. I like to, and the eye shape, where I have this consistent eye shape going, okay, well, it is a very consistent there. I have a semi-consistent eye shape going on and stuff, and then it changes abruptly when it comes to a different emotion, like confusion, anger, other stuff. The pupils shrink, the eyes a bit more like, what? Yeah, this is definitely a more cartoony style than realistic, but it serves the point. You have this one where the black shadow between the eyes, I really don't know what to call this, I'm doing my best. The ears immediately going down as the I don't put eyebrows in this one. That was my bad. There normally should be. Because that really does, not only are they just going to magically not have eyebrows, it really does emphasize what you want to say, because the open eyes right now says shock, you know, like it says shock, the pupils are dilated, it reads shock, the little fur here, it reads like surprise and stuff. The fact that the ears are going down states that the cat is uncomfortable right now, the cat is not happy. So this is not a happy shock, this is a very oh no shock. The shadow between the eyes state horror to some extent. They're like, oh no, something's wrong, something's happening. This is what each little feature does to the expression as a whole. And if I had eyebrows, I would be able to be like, oh, the eyebrows signify especially what expression it is, whether it is more shock than horror, whether it's more confusion than shock, that kind of thing. I probably couldn't really place it, so I didn't do it, or I just forgot, doesn't matter. Moving on to the next expression here, you can see as they turn, I put the sweat drops here, they're very nervous, their ears are back, they're uncomfortable, their fur is still prickling, they are very uncomfortable. These don't necessarily count. I wanted them to be creepy, so I took away basic features so you couldn't read them like you could him, and that's supposed to be a sort of disconnect as I did that. Here I scrunched up his nose, his fur is still back, his ears are still back. That's what I love about cats. It is very easy to tell what emotion they are currently feeling based on how they present themselves, because all animals have a body language that which you can read if you know how to read it. This. I guess this would be a small, okay, pretend you didn't see this. This is for work technically, but you can tell like each animal has its own body language. Raccoons tend to arch up, they tend to fluff up, make themselves seem a little bigger, their ears go back. It is, you know, like they'll let you know. An animal won't let you know when they're uncomfortable. And one mistake actually here, now that I noticed that, is that the tail most likely wouldn't be up in an expression like this. It would probably be straight or lying closer towards the closer towards the ground, because they're upset. If they were a bit more maybe uncomfortable, or maybe a bit more scared to some extent, trying to make themselves seem bigger. But cats tend to curl their tail up more than to put it up like a whole dog. So, you know, it's also about knowing the body language of the animal you're drawing to. And that's it for the little tutorial. If there's any questions, I hope this helped. Thank you.